Yeah, let's take it from the top. My name is Sebastian Prentice. Most people call me Seb. We are at Horizen Gym in Sea Point. And so what made me decide to start the gym was I've pretty much for as long as I can remember been passionate about movement and training and exercise. I wanted to marry my passion and work together because I just believed work should be fun and I should do something that I was passionate about. Knowing what I love to do and having a skill set to make that into a business was a huge competitive advantage, and to waste that would just be a ridiculously silly thing to do. So it was going to be something I had planned to do the whole gym thing later on in life after I'd done a good corporate stint, but my mom passing away last year kind of sped that process up and made me realize that time is limited and I was wasting time working a corporate job whilst I knew what I loved. I had this realization where I was like, why am I waiting? People die, I'm young, I know what I want to do, let me go after it. I didn't study fitness formally, I studied management science at Stellenbosch, but whilst I did that, I was taking free outdoor classes in the park, and that was definitely the initial seed in terms of sharing my passion with people, because I felt so fulfilled after taking people for an outdoor class for free. I thought I should definitely look at making this into some kind of a business, because I love it. So Horizen's very young, it's a very new business. So I haven't had any seriously scary moments yet, apart from signing the lease at the beginning. That was the biggest moment. When I did that, I thought, what have I done? This was a terrible idea, because I quit my job a week before. I was like, what have I done? Like, this is a terrible idea. I actually spoke to my best friend's dad, who's like a dad to me. He's like a mentor. When I told him I'd signed the lease already and everything, he was like, look, Seb, I'm skeptical. So I was like, and this guy's like done fairly well for himself in business. He's also an entrepreneur. I was like, shit, that's not really what you want to hear, you know? I love seeing people's reactions when I'm like, oh yeah, I live here. And they're like, what do you mean? Like, in the building next door? I'm like, no, here's my room, I'll show you. They're like, what? A lot of people think that that's very hectic. I think it's super convenient. I think I'm super blessed. I love what I do so much that I'm comfortable to live, sleep where I work.
All good. So my name's Jason Hoffmeyer. Seb's definitely one of my best mates and training partner. I was probably one of the first people you told. Yeah, so the first time I heard that Seb was going to open the gym and start this whole venture, and I'd met Seb for early morning swim before work, and we were standing on the beach at like 6 a.m. on a Friday morning, and I asked Seb how his visa appointment went to the UK. Told me that he's secretly hoping that his visa gets cancelled or rejected, and I had a very weird reaction to that. And we got chatting after that, and he was like, yeah, he actually doesn't want to go to the UK and carry on with his corporate job. He just wants to commit and open a gym. A couple of days later, he messaged me saying he's not going to go anymore, and he's found a gym and he's going to open a gym. Yeah, just over a year now since all of that happened, and to see what everything is like now. Yeah, it's really cool to see his dreams and his plans in real life.
Hi, my name's Gideon Cohen. I'm a sports strength conditioning coach. At Horizen, I'm the head coach. If that doesn't make it into the documentary, I'm not watching it. I just finished my degree, and Seb reached out on LinkedIn quite literally as I wrote my last exam, and I signed my contract before the gym was even built. So that's how much faith I had in the gym and in Seb. Like, I think that was the biggest thing. Seb and myself, vision for the space kind of like aligned. So like what he was thinking, I was like, okay, this is perfect. This is gonna work really well.
I'm Kyra, I'm a personal trainer at Horizen and the social media manager. I remember asking, doing a little poll on Instagram, like, hey, I'm looking to work at a gym. And Seb actually replied and he was like, when are you gonna come visit my gym? I came through and I was looking at a few different options, and I just felt super called to be here because it was like a fairly new gym, and I just felt like my values were very aligned with Seb's values and the gym's values, and I felt like I could really grow with him and with Horizen and the team here.
My name is Sungani Bonali Chilombo. I met Seb almost a year ago. Our movements and training means quite a lot to Seb. He spends pretty much 50% of his time training, thinking about running, whether it's the mountains, whether it's the promenade, but he's all about movements. Let me do something, let me run, let me lift weights, always on the move. He never stops running.
And if you didn't know Seb and just looking at him, you would never think he would be a runner and someone that is attempting to run a sub 3-hour marathon.
So with the marathon, this goes back just over a year and a half ago when my mom passed away. So when I went up to be with her when she passed away, kind of connecting with her friends and being with some of my school friends up there in London, there was a lot of drinking that happened. And in the ensuing days, as she passed away, about 3 days in a row, and I was like, this is one of those inflection turn key moments where it's like, you're either gonna self-soothe in an unhealthy way or you're gonna self-soothe in a healthier way. So I kind of acknowledged the drinking thing and I said, okay, let me start running a bit more. And about a week after that, I signed up for the Two Oceans Marathon, or it's an ultra marathon, a 56-kilometer marathon, which is arguably not very healthy, but it felt healthier than drinking every day. And I found through that challenge and being desperately unprepared for that, that doing endurance sport can take you to a really interesting place mentally where I felt quite a vivid connection with my mom in those very difficult physical activities. That encouraged me to do a lot more endurance sport because I thought there's this thing that I can do that brings me closer to my mom, and it's a nice, difficult outlet. I can be competitive with myself. And she always spoke about keeping the elastic tight. So that basically meant stretching yourself, taking yourself to your absolute limit and trying to discover where your boundaries lie. It's an interesting way to find yourself and get close to yourself as well. It's like, I don't know, I'm taking myself to places I've never been before, so I don't actually know if I can. I'm pretty sure that I can, but it's like that thing of like stretching the elastic further and further and figuring out what the bounds of my capabilities might be.
That was the biggest common thread that came up when she passed, like all the messages I was receiving. People would make reference to like, I remember meeting your mom once on the side of a rugby field, and 3 years later she asked me about my passion for Lego that I mentioned on the side of the rugby in a 5-minute conversation. She asked me about that, and that made me feel so fucking heard. I think that we're doing something like that.
I've always worked in a gym space, but I've never connected with the community and with all the members, despite if they're my clients or not, like the way like I've done here. And it's just, I think it's just the way, as you said, like transcends from your mom to you, and then the way you've taught us. And that's why it makes sense for me when you say that your mom is like present in the space the whole time.
That means that she's continuously giving me gifts in my life. My friendship with you, my connection with you, creating this thing. It's like, what the it's like you can't even describe how, like I can't even describe how cool, like how amazing that is. Like I'm sure you experienced it as well. You even mentioned something your mom told me, like walking down the stairs. Like it doesn't matter if like physically they're not like, you know, actually getting emotional, but it's like they continue to guide you, bro. And that's actually a beautiful thing, where you'll know one day when someone passes, they'll still be there, bro. Like always. They'll always be there, because for you it's a long time ago, bro. It's like 10, 12, I don't know, many years ago, bro. And she's still there. She's still teaching you and guiding you.
Do you feel like now that she's passed and her life was cut short, that like her goal of like putting all her energy and like stuff into you and you growing as a person, like through her passing, being able to live out your dreams and your goals at such a young age, should be looking down like proud and accomplished of you?
I think she'd have a few things to say, but like, because she was always like, she'd always find out a way to like think about how we could improve things, because that was her nature. But I think she would be proud of me. She would say like, take a moment, like you're doing something amazing, well done. Okay, now how can we make it better? I almost dial at the tears there, dude. But it's so cool, bro. That's also why I have this, because that's her like watching over me and guiding me.
Is that when you say like you get closest to your mom through like really tough physical activity? Is that why you push so much?
100%. She didn't always agree with the things that I chose to put my energy into. Like she wasn't really chuffed that I chose rugby. Like most mothers aren't keen on that because it's really dangerous. But she was at every game, and when I scored she would fucking lose her mind, bro, and I could like hear her shouting for me. Like whatever I chose to do, she would she would, like, she was in my corner, like, she would cheer me on. Like, there's this clip of me scoring at the Weinberg Festival, I think it was against Jeppy or something, and she just throws her hands in the air and she's like so happy, like, and she's like, well done, done so well. And like that specific episode in my life plays in my head when I get into like a gross place on the watt bike, or like when I'm running a hard workout and I'm like, yo, this is getting hectic. She's just like, go my boy, I back you, you can do this.